So Carl Jung described the shadow as those characteristics of our personality that we unconsciously disown, push away. We don't like to look at them. And as a result, they go underground. They don't go away. Nothing goes away completely. But they get pushed underground and they accumulate energy. And as we saw last time, if you did watch the video on the shadow, our friend and author Robert Johnson said that the human personality is like a seesaw with good characteristics, those accepted by the culture, family, and people around us as good. And then on the other side of the seesaw are those characteristics which are considered negative. And he says for a life of balance, we need to keep a balance on that, on the seesaw. And one of the laws of life, he said, is the Newtonian law: to every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. Well, that's true also psychically. If I do a lot of good things, I'm kind and caring and loving toward my neighbor and toward myself, and I'm trying to be a productive member of society, that's an action that's building up an opposite on the other side. So the seesaw is getting out of balance with the good stuff, and the bad stuff is what we call the bad stuff is building up equal and opposite reaction. And one of Robert Johnson's major insights is that we don't have to do bad things and be a bad person in order to bring balance to that seesaw. We just have to ritually or symbolically honor the shadow. And he uses the term paying out the shadow, which is a great term because paying out is taken from fishing. When we go fishing, you throw out your line, fish gets a hold of the hook and bites, and then to pay out the line means you let the line go. The fish is hooked, but you want to tire it out. And you also don't want it to escape. You want it to stay on the hook, but you want it to kind of, tire itself out, so you pay out the line. And that's what he means by paying out the shadow. You want to keep it hooked, meaning you don't want it to explode all over the place and hurt other people. Nor, on the other hand, do you want it to build up and lead to an explosion. If you repress the shadow, it leads either to an explosion of blowing up at other people, doing something horrible like some of the mass killings that we've seen, or going inward with it, repressing it, keeping it down, and that turns into a depression. So we want to not go that way. We want to be able to pay the shadow out, keep it within a container, but at the same time honor it by symbolically giving it some honoring. Now, how do you do that? Well, there's a couple of examples that can be used. One is taken from Robert Johnson's dream. He calls the dream of the beach bum. He says he'd been very active. He's a therapist. He was doing a lot of work and didn't realize that he was really getting overworked when he had this dream of a beach bum. And he thought to himself, I don't like beach bums in the sense that they're, wasting a lot of time and energy. But what of the beach bum do I need in my life right now? And he realized that because he'd been overworking, the seesaw was tending in that direction, and he needed then to compensate. And so he took a day off, went to the beach, and just lolled around and watched the people go by and relaxed and had a good day. And he honored the inner beach bum that way. Another example is from the little movie Shadrach. It's a great old movie. I think it came out in the 80s or late 70s. I'd recommend you watch it if you get a chance. But there's a scene in it where this little 10-year-old boy is about to go to church with his family. And he's, they're a very proper little family. And he is upstairs getting dressed, gets his suit on and his tie. His folks precede him down the stairs. And just before he goes downstairs to join them, he opens the top closet door, pokes his head in, and says all the bad words that he knows into the closet, into the dark closet. And then he closes the door and he goes downstairs. And I thought, what a wonderful expression of paying out the shadow. Here he's going to go do this wonderful thing of going to church, but somehow instinctively he knew he had to kind of honor his dark side. And he says all the bad words he knows. Another example of paying out the shadow would be if you were angry and resentful at someone in your family or a friend. Rather than blowing up at them, do a little dialogue where you say what you're feeling about that person and the incident that got you upset. Write it out. And in doing so, you're honoring that negative feeling, and it allows itself to get expressed and not to go underground. And maybe later you blow up at that friend in an appropriate way. So, as I said before, I only wish that I had known about these things when I was younger. It would have helped me a lot just to know that I don't need to be negative and do awful things in order to bring balance to my life. I could honor the shadow by paying it out in ritual, symbolic ways. And by doing so, that will keep my life in balance. I'll be able to harness my creative energy and be able to bring it to the world, do my work as well as I can, treat other people kindly and courteously, and be a productive member of society.